Hello, everybody. Today is the best day. What day is it? It's Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. My name is Brian Engelman. That guy is Blake Walley. And this is the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. Today's show is about leveling up. Of course, we're going to talk about Trump and all of the things regarding Trump. Where has he been in the past week? Well, we have been there following this to get on the ground, into the events, to just kind of feel the pulse of what's happening. It's important that independent media exists because it's a lot tougher to fake a version of a story when a lot of people are watching. You want that. A lot of different perspectives. There's a lot to soak up, and that's what we put together. So check out all of that footage. All of the regular places, just search the new American media or the Agree to Disagree show. I came home to power being out. So this show is going to be about leveling up. 48 hours without power. So I'm question of the day, Blake, I'll throw it to you real quick and tell people about your site and the footage you got as well. But we'll get to that in a second. But what is your question of the day? How do you determine what's good and what's bad after your power's out and your food's been in there without power for about 2 days? Because the ice cube tray was still frozen, but like there was a little bit of water on the one side of it. Some of the bags of fruit were squishy. The corn was squishy. The steak and the chicken was kind of malleable, but it was cold. It was still like partly frozen. So I actually took some of the steak and the chicken out and defrosted it. I'm going to cook it. Blake, what is your understanding of how you handle that real quick? Because that's our question of the day. I want everyone to think generator. You need to have some sort of solar, some generator, some battery bank that you can kind of keep a little bit of juice flowing in a dangerous situation. My homestead apparently is unprepared for that. So I have to make some level up decisions, and I'm encouraging every one of you to as well, because I feel like we could be under some sort of threat this year between now and the election. But regardless, your power could go out anyway. So that's my ask to everybody out there in the TNAM universe. Please level up a little bit. Blake, what say you real quick on that topic before we pivot to the events?
Get off the grid. I don't know. Just start having a barbecue. I don't know. I wouldn't refreeze stuff that has already gotten soft, especially the meat. So I'm sure they're still good. But yeah, time to clean that stuff out, throw it in the fridge, and have a barbecue if you have to. But maybe, yeah, Brian, you might want to do like a separate, show afterwards or something.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring Ted Metz on. He's he
Today?
gives.
This show?
Yeah, we'll bring him on to, whatever. It could be a standalone segment, whatever, but I will book him. We talked about he does prepping presentations.
He's not going to be on this show today. Like I said, I've got
not today. No, not
okay.
Today. It's sometime down the road, Blake. Easy. No, we wouldn't.
No, it's fine if you do.
We have a precise 59-minute show. We're sticking to the topic there. But yeah, if you have any questions, any comments about our question of the day, have you been through a power outage? How did you determine what to do with your food? Did it all get pitched? Did you have a big barbecue? I'm curious to read your thoughts. Please type them on X and YouTube and wherever else we're streaming live. So, okay, Blake, we started things off going out to the Bronx and to see what that whole situation is about. What are some of your takeaways? Before there's a lot to unpack about all of it, but I mean, from your perspective, what did that signify? What was the relevance? Do you think it moved the needle? Anything in particular jump out at you from that?
Well, as we were getting ready to go to the Libertarian convention, which was a big endeavor and a lot of travel, a lot of running around, I did not really have much time to dig into the whole Bronx situation. Now, you were actually there. You went a day ahead of me, went to the Bronx before you went to D.C. for the Libertarian convention. So you got a firsthand account of it, whereas I've only heard bits and pieces. But the idea that he can go into the Bronx and win over a crowd who are, Democrats, or most people historically would consider them, not normal Trump voters. But under the circumstances, as they've watched the city descend into chaos. If things have gotten worse under the Biden administration, they would like to have Trump back. And so where they thought they was going to walk into a hostile crowd situation where he could have 4 years ago, 8 years ago, certainly wasn't the case from what I understand. So that was a huge significance, big turning point that he does have a lot more people going for him this year than have historically.
Yeah, I had the opportunity. I'd like to give a special thanks first off to Ford Fisher with news to share. It's when you're out in the universe, out in the wild, covering events, you tend to encounter a lot of the same people at a lot of the same events, Blake. For example, who did you run into at just a couple of, like, we've been a lot of different places with other independent journalists. And you do form a bit of a camaraderie. Like, not everybody's best friends, but at least you're, civil or something. Maybe you've been on their show, or maybe someone got interviewed, or you ran into them at a different place. Like, who are some of those that you have ran into previously from, like, the Libertarian convention this weekend? Familiar names you just kind of see out there, because Ford Fisher and News to Share is at so many of these things. But there's also some other people we ran into.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, I've run into Luke Radowski a number of times. We're not, great friends, but we know each other. We've encountered probably multiple times in multiple different states. I did see Tim Pool just very briefly on an elevator. So I guess he was kind of behind the scenes. They're huge stars now, so they don't mingle with the rest of us peasants.
Well, did you see that he had a sit down with Trump? That's what that was.
Yeah, no, that's a huge event. Yeah, so no, they're a huge, what do they say, victims of their own success. They don't want to be like, have all the crowds coming after them. So now they can kind of hide behind the scenes, which is good for them. That's I'm happy for them. I've seen them come up. They've done outstanding work over the years, and so. But yes, I've seen them.
They prove that anybody can do it. They prove that not like, if they can do it, anyone can do it. They're so bad. It's no. If you see that it can be done, then you know that it can be. There is a path from kind of starting your own thing and establishing yourself in a space. But yeah, I just want to say special thanks to Ford Fisher and the rest of the guys that I ran into. Maybe some people for the first time, some people for multiple times, but to everyone out there, including Ted Metz, who I will bring on to a future program. Thank you. A lot of camaraderie and helping things out and changing of cables and cords and trying to help lift things. And it's like, we're all kind of in it together, and it's more fun that way. It's a bit of a fraternity. If there isn't a fraternity for people to do this shit, I think we need to come up with a fraternity, Blake, like with pins and everything. I don't know, maybe bylaws. We'll think about it. But anyway, thanks to Ford, because he was out there on assignment, and a long, interesting story that got shortened is I did have the pleasure of working on Real America's Voice. I provided several different segments of reporting that day. I think they were kind of looking for a lot of protesty stuff, and I don't know, there really wasn't much. Like, there was a passionate, loving energy. But I will probably break down my experience there in a standalone video. Like, I have a lot of different angles to cover, but unfortunately today's not going to be that moment. Fortunately, we're going to get to several different news stories. Blake, do you have them queued up? If you can give people a heads up of where this show is going today, so they can kind of figure out which topic they're most excited to look forward to us discussing.
Well, I mean, it's on the headlines of today. I mean, I didn't know what I thought we were going to cover kind of our perspective.
Oh, this is the teaser. We're just gonna tease them with this, and then we're gonna continue past what occurred in the Bronx, and we're gonna kind of start going through the news stories, discussing our experience at the Libertarian convention, because some of these stories are a part of our stack today.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I know we've got, obviously Trump talking to the Libertarian Party. You've got the Libertarian Party who've nominated controversial character Chase Oliver for their nominee.
Yeah.
You've got, of course, the ongoing saga with Trump in New York trial, also with another drama, more drama in the Jack Smith trial. And what else do we have? Whether or not agree or disagree, whether Democrats are going to try to use illegal aliens to as a voting bloc in 2024. And I think there's something with Robert DeNiro making waves at the Biden campaign stop in New York as well.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of the more of the headlines that I saw today. It's right after Memorial Day weekend, so we're just getting this new shortened work week started. But after a busy week in DC, and of course you went to the Bronx as well. But yeah,
I believe I charted 30 to 32 hours of driving in 5 days, and this is from the Bronx to DC and back, and it was quite a 5 days. But think about what Trump's going through. Think about Trump's in court right now. They're getting ready to potentially arrest him. Is that really what we're talking about? We're talking about a potential arrest. Is that something? How soon could that potentially happen? Like, is that really where we are on a no crime? Anyway, that's a whole separate. Needs its own time. But Trump is everywhere, and let's talk about what we saw at the Libertarian Party. Blake, walk us through what that experience was like for you. I know last time we were there was January 6th to film and interview people at the Stop the Steal rally. That it was a mostly peaceful but fiery protest, and some people did some things. So it had been a while since I was in DC, and at least the area I was in, I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was beautiful. I was kind of blown away with at least that part of it. I know that DC, that's probably not indicative of the entirety of DC because it can be very sketchy. But walk us through your experience, Blake. Like, how did you soak it all up? What would you tell people about the experience, and what was relevant about it?
Well, yeah, it's a difference. I guess that's the third time I've been there, but I've only kind of seen like little pieces of it each time. And so January 6th was, really cold. It was obviously January, but kind of bleak. It was a lot more colorful. It's it's got some nice. It seems like it could be a fun city. It's not fun to drive in, with all of the weird layouts of the streets out there. They're very, very narrow, and they take all kinds of funky turns and lots of one ways. There's nowhere to park, so that's not less than ideal. But if I was just gonna like hang out, for a weekend or whatever in DC, it probably would be fun. And it is beautiful this time of year. So that was different. It's got some cool stuff going for it. And, I really wasn't looking forward to going back there. I figured I'd never want to come back in that place again. I was shocked that the Libertarians would want to host the event there. I think the last place I would think they'd want to go, I would think they'd want to, like Nashville, like a deep red, state. But that wasn't the case. But that was fine. It was still a great time, and it was interesting. It was also the biggest Libertarian convention by far, by orders of magnitude, just because they had Donald Trump and also RFK Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy. They had some big outsiders, and of course Ron Paul was also there on Sunday. We got to see him speak before we took off, and so it's an interesting bunch. I've always kind of loosely affiliated with the Libertarians, but as I've discovered over the years that there's a lot of differences in opinions between them. It's not as black and white as you might think it is. Just limited government and common sense, what have you. There's a big part of the wing that is they're like basically like anarchists. So, but they would call themselves the true Libertarians, and it's kind of divisive, and it's unusual because they act so principled one way, and then all of a sudden they elect goofy candidates. They'll have a lot of interesting people, and then they'll select, Bill Weld, or in this case they selected what's his name again, Chase Oliver, who I thought was probably the most controversial, but maybe it was the anti-Trump. But then I think that's also going to backfire. So you're going to see another split here. So the Libertarians are not on the same page. And they were in meetings for days. And it's just very difficult for them to make progress. And it's difficult difficult for them to make compromise, which is interesting because a lot of our forefathers were kind of libertarians. But at the end of the day, they had to set up like the constitutional conventions in Philadelphia, and they had to compromise. That was the main key takeaway from that. In order to get the Constitution, in order to unite the states, they had to all get on the same page for certain things. And they eventually did. Otherwise, they were all going to get picked off one by one, getting reabsorbed into Britain after the Revolutionary War. So we either all stand united or get divided and destroyed. So
that's a good analysis. That's a good breakdown. Like it's a good reminder in that analysis, that breakdown. Yeah, the libertarians being famous for their purity tests. You know, if I were writing for Trump's speech, I feel like I would have said something along the lines of, now I know if there were 100 issues that are the most important to the Libertarian Party, I don't check all of those. I don't know how many I check, but it's, you know, it's actually a lot. There's a lot of overlap, but we disagree on a lot of things. But then, you know, but you libertarians being infamous for your purity tests, even Jesus Christ himself only scored a 97. He said he was a socialist. You know, like there's no pleasing these people. There is no proper amount of purity. And I appreciate it because it steers conversations into at least a thoughtful space. I'm not going to sit here and say that I agree with you on all of the things. I will sit here and say that I appreciate the effort to kind of go libertarian in general. And that's what Vivek was pleading for. He was pleading for people to join with them, to join the cabinet, take cabinet positions to help steer the party more libertarian. Like, kind of, guys, you're not what you just nominated. That Chase guy is not what you just nominated. Come on over. And with that nomination, they really did just have a split. You have people, I know a lot of people that have been libertarian card-carrying members, dues-paying members. They have left consciously. They have made a conscious decision to leave. And that's not to disparage the group that was there, but I mean, actually one of the tweets that we sent out, make sure you're following us at American_media_. It was just kind of discussing the process, Blake. You kind of touched on that. There really was not a consensus. It took a long time to whittle it down to who we ended up with. But that being said, this person, well, maybe I could put it on the screen. Yeah, but sorry, I need a second screen here. Deborah McCreary says, Chase Oliver does not represent most libertarians, and they are furious about the conniving tactics that he used to win the nomination. Now, I'll say this. I will be reaching out to him to join the program. I would like to have him on, and have a robust conversation about policy. Have him sit and join for a while. Be curious to learn. But, you know, I'm picking up bits and pieces here and there what other people are saying about him. Like your understanding, but before we bounce to the next one about Chase Oliver real quick, let's answer the question. Donald Trump actually winning over the Libertarian Party. We'll get to Chase Oliver because in chronological order, we didn't know who the nominee was at the time. If the Libertarians could have, and I couldn't shake the thought, Blake, that it would have been so helpful to have Trump go off the stage and immediately here's our nominee with their direct rebuttal to the president of the United States, to draw stark contrasts and to call out different points. That would have been such a moment. That didn't happen. I wish it would have. I don't know if it would have made much of a difference, Blake, but I thought that would have been cool.
For the rebuttals?
Yeah, like if they already had their person selected at that point, so they could
at that point. Well, they had multiple candidates, and they did rebuttals after Trump did speak, and Chase was one of those guys. I don't know if it was 3 or 4. I don't recall. I know you've got it on video. We'd have to find those clips, but I thought Chase was probably one of the most radical, and he was young because I couldn't tell from that distance. Obviously, you got to be 35 to be president, because I was kind of thinking like he was like 25 or something. But I know he was kind of making that his thing, like, oh, I'm the youngest one, and Trump was this, and Trump was, war crimes, and this, is like, geez, I thought he was like over the top, a little hostile. But I think maybe that's why he became the nominee. They wanted the the anti-Trump. It was that faction of them. But I think Trump overall, I think he's going to make a lot of inroads with the Libertarian Party, and I think that this Chase guy is just as divisive of a character. So I do see a lot of Libertarians going for Donald Trump this year, and he made that appeal. Like, you guys have no chance to win. This guy Chase has zero chance to win. So you're going to be an asshole, throw away your vote. Because the purity test, like, to them, it wouldn't matter if it's Biden or Trump because they're both statists. Then, that's not fair either. So, no.
That's my point Blake, that is exactly it. I had a conversation with somebody. It was a private conversation. I'll leave it at that. But it's somebody I respect who's been involved with the business of the party for a long time. And that was the point that I made. And I said, if there was a list of 100 things that are very important, a vote for Donald Trump will get several of those things through the finish line. You will be very happy about a lot of things that occur in that top 100 list. If you go with whatever the Democrats do when they replace Biden, they're going to do whatever they do. You can't trust that party anymore, ever. Like, that party is completely unreliable because we see what they're doing. They have a party agenda. They will do that the next time and the next time. They're just a political machine that's destructive. And I said, being principled and just sticking with somebody that's not going to count. Step number one, get rid of the worst candidate possible. And then the guy who just showed up and said, hey, you might not like everything you see, but I'm good for these reasons. I'd like your support. He's offering to listen to you. And one of the key moments of the night, Blake, was when there were 3 people, because the Libertarians provided President Trump a list of items that they were supposed to discuss, that they had requested. Please, can you address these concerns in your speech? And my concern prior to the event was, that's not really his style. I don't know how he's going to pull this off. How is he directly? The Libertarians don't accept shades of gray. They want a binary choice. They want yes or no, and they would not want to hear a kind of, I'll tell you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm going to be ambiguous about it. Can you talk a little bit about those 3 people that the Libertarian Party asked Donald Trump to, I believe, pardon or commute the sentences of? Because that was an interesting component, maybe a highlight of the speech. And
that was huge. To them, it's very important that we pardon Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and Russ Ulbricht. And there was a huge crowd of people that were for free Ross. So, and I agree with that. And Trump made those concessions. Yes, he appealed to the Libertarian Party, say, hey, listen, you nominate me, I'm going to put a Libertarian on my cabinet, and I will free Ross Ulbricht. That was huge.
Take a few wins, Libertarians. Can you please learn to take a few wins? But, how often is one side of the debate that doesn't, the side that doesn't have really good arguments, they just go, and they just yell, they just screech. They just screech so that they can express a shrill noise of disapproval in general, but yet nothing productive to work with. That's what a lot of these Libertarians that were at the event, that were just screeching during the speech, it was not productive. It came off as very sophomoric. It came off as very, very childish, very immature, counterproductive. And that's not to say that they don't have a right to listen to something Trump says and call him out on bullshit. I get it. I get it. I get it. And I approve of it. But you know what that sounds like? Boo, that's not true. Stop and listen. Let it out for a couple seconds and shut up. This doesn't need to be a constant droning background noise of, the white noise of crashing waves or street traffic and down in the Bronx or something. Like, just make your point and shut up. It was a continuous assault on Trump, really, as soon as he got started. But what would you give him as a grade? How well would you say Donald Trump did during the speech, given the circumstances? because I've never seen him in front of a more hostile crowd. I don't know if you can remember Trump in front of a more. Nope, I do. WWE. It really kind of felt like that. It really felt like WWE, almost like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to give him a 9. I mean, I think he did very well, and he made the concessions. He made the right appeal. He handled the crowd just fine. There were, yes, it was definitely some hostile elements of it.
Oh yeah,
But just booing or what have you. But I mean, they made themselves look, as you said, juvenile, childish. They got roasted pretty bad on Twitter, and their ideological fantasy world, just met reality. And a lot of people, they're ripping on these libertarians, and they're making libertarians look bad. I mean, that's the Ron Paul wing. That's common sense, limited government, stuff like that, versus the fantasy world anarchism that will never win over anybody. Sorry, like people are never going to live like that unless it's like Mad Max and civilization breaks down. Maybe they can have their anarchist utopia somewhere and see how that goes. Yeah, be careful what you wish for. So, and I've debated a lot of these people in the past. I mean, they're not real. So,
I would say this, Blake. I think not mentioning Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, I think that takes a few points off for me. If you're going to talk about Ross, like we're obviously now asking, what about the other two? I saw a report roll through Twitter from an account that I tend to look at from time to time. Not sure if it's true or not, but that Donald Trump is seriously considering commuting the sentence of Julian Assange as well. I think Donald Trump finding himself the victim of 91 counts of lawfare has done wonders for Trump to look at situations differently and say, you know what? You might have been framed here, kid. Or, you know what? You've been in exile for 11 years. I think you've served a penalty. I think that in a way that it's probably excessive. Maybe it never should have happened in the first place. And when it comes to Snowden defending our Fourth Amendment rights, the Fourth Amendment is just as important as the First and Second. I mean, it's like they said it. I forget who said it. Maybe Vivek, maybe it was Dave Smith. I don't remember, but they said Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, these people need statues in Washington, D.C. for defending our freedom of the press, freedom of speech, our freedom to assemble, our like our Fourth Amendment rights. It was unfortunate that President Trump didn't address those two issues. But what is this here? Trump says, okay, yeah, tell us what this story is. Perfect.
This is brought up by Tim Pool. This was on the speech that went on behind the scenes. So Trump stunned the world on the Tim Pool show, saying he will consider pardoning WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange once he is back.
More big one. Will you pardon Julian Assange?
Well, I'm going to talk about that today, and we're going to give it very serious consideration. And we're going to have a couple of other things to say in the speech that I think you're going to love.
I've heard some rumors.
And you've gotten so much out of me, I should leave a little bit for the speech, don't you think?
Mr. President, it is an honor and a privilege. I really do appreciate you sitting down with me.
And you're very respected, I have to say. When I did a little research, and some of my guys said, and I met you before, but they said just a very respected guy. It's my honor.
Okay, well, there you go. So,
what a love fest.
Yep.
What a love fest. Look at that. Kudos. You know what? When Fox turns on the MAGA people, you know what, Fox? You lost. Like, it's just, it's a very different media landscape with Truth Social, Rumble, and Elon Musk running X. This is so different from 4 years ago. The censorship is very irrelevant, and there are different voices pushing real messages out now. The reshuffling of the deck of cards, Blake, it might just be crazy enough to save us. We might just be able to pull our way out of it by building new pathways to omit systems that don't work. And essentially, Blake, isn't that the entire point of the Constitution anyway? Like, when the forms of government, the bonds that hold us together, are no longer something we're going to tolerate, it's necessary for us to break those bonds and start differently. I'm paraphrasing.
Yes, Declaration of our independence. Yes, it's our forefathers. Like, this is your duty, guys. It's time for you to rise up and do something about this, or you're gonna live under a fucking tyranny. Like, we had to. Like human civilization has been under oppression for its life, and we set this amazing. It's a republic if we can keep it. And now you got half the country that's thinks it's all a democracy, which is like majority rule. They've twisted things, and we've lost our way, and we need to get back to that, and we need to get into our compromise again, and we need to come to unite again as Americans.
Yes, and that was the message. That was such a difference, Blake. It was said. I'm trying to remember who said. Maybe it was Ted Metz that said it. Once again, we'll be talking with Ted about prepping, and the question of the day is: how do you know if you've been in a power outage whether you should throw food out or keep it? I've heard varying degrees of suggestions, and I'm usually adventurous when it comes to trying to salvage resources, supplies, and food, especially. But that being said,
throw it all in the crock pot, dude. There you go.
All right, yes, in a big cauldron, and just invite the community over. Come on, we're having a barbecue. Yeah, crazy kids. But the difference between when Joe Biden went to speak at a college, and it was just like, you're black and people hate you, and this country has never been more divided, and Republicans and like, what a lousy, degenerate, divisive, stupid message to leave people. To just try to say the boogeyman's out there. I can protect you from the boogeyman. I am your protector. They hate you. It's like, old man, go sniff something. Well, I can't say what. I got a few ideas of things he could sniff. Okay, how about nope, never mind. Just but President Trump went to the Bronx, in a place that, what did they say? It was 66% or 65, 60 something percent Puerto Rican, and then 20 something percent black. It's an area that is having a bit of a struggle, especially with inflation, and they're seeing resources go to other people, Blake. Like they're saying, we have elderly that need help. We have mothers trying to raise kids the right way, and they need help. What are you doing bringing somebody in that doesn't know our language, wasn't invited, didn't do it the right way? You're giving them a free room. You're giving them gift cards with money on it, preloaded. Why are resources going to people that are not us? That has to stop. So, there was a lot of that energy there, but I'll just say this, I'll just to kind of link it back together in a general vibe. Trump is fearless. Trump is nonstop. He is a force. The people in the Bronx, and there's very different vibes, obviously. A lot of people were saying at the Libertarian convention, like, why is he even speaking here? He has no business speaking here. He's not a libertarian. But you know what it was? It's a convention. And he said, could I have a chance? Could I have a certain amount of time to explain why I think your party might want to endorse me? And he gave it a shot. And RFK Jr., what were your thoughts on RFK Jr.?
I thought he did an outstanding job. He made his appeal. And he is, he does actually polling pretty well. I mean, I'd like to see him in the national debates. I don't know if he's really got a chance, but I like what he's done. And I think, he played that crowd pretty well. Yeah,
I would say it was.
He didn't leave himself open for a lot of issues either. So it was good.
What about other issues either? Sorry.
He kind of, focused on, the Bill of Rights. He focused on major things that like libertarians could agree on, and didn't push for anything that was going to be too controversial for them. So, it's good to, again, one of those uniting things, of compromise, getting back to right.
I'd say it was a perfectly written speech. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It was absolute perfection. He focused on stuff that was so universal. And theoretical. He's never been president. He's never had to think in like the grand terms of the legitimate business of running a country on a global scale. There's so much going on at the same time, everywhere, always. He didn't spread his message around and discuss some of the issues of, you can like a lot about RFK Jr. without thinking he should be anywhere near the presidency. There's variations of how people feel about that. I would still like to schedule a sit down with him, so I'm still working on it. But I don't know how else to say the speech was perfect, because it just stayed on Bill of Rights stuff, knocked it out of the park 10 of 10. Go to youtube.com and or Rumble, rather. Go to the New American Media page. We have the whole video posted there, the whole speech, as well as the Trump speech. We're going to put up Vivek and Man on the Street and some other segments in the next couple of days. Like I said, we literally just turned the laptop open and got a charge. So like we're running on fumes. So more information to come. Check out our sites with that. But yeah, I think he crushed it. What about Vivek? How do you think Vivek handled things when he had a debate with Dave Smith? That was another one of the highlights, I thought. And who else was up there? Dave Smith, Vivek, and the other guy.
Russell, Clint Russell, right? He's a podcaster. He was also one of the nominees, and he had a debate with Larry Sharp, I think, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Former nominee for presidential. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good speaker, but he lost that debate against Russell. Clint Russell beat him for the rights to debate Vivek, moderated by Dave Smith. And that was interesting. And I thought Vivek did a fantastic. I'm a big fan of Vivek. I think he's a rising star. He's great. I think the crowd gave him a very hard time.
Very hard time by proxy. And that had me so concerned. And once again, special thanks to Ford Fisher of News to Share and everybody at the team over at Real America's Voice. I did jump on another segment there, and I
met Dave and Luke, and yes, good people.
Yeah. And I had a chance right before the speech to kind of articulate how I was feeling about it. And I think what I mentioned to him along the way in our conversation, I once again haven't watched it a second time, but Vivek was kind of like a minesweeper. He went out the night before to just kind of test the waters and see what was what. And they were unnecessarily harsh to Vivek. I mean, Vivek's never held a position. Like, he doesn't have a policy record to jeer. They were pretty harsh. And I think they did that so that they could warm up to the idea of how Trump is going to have to. This is what he's going to be dealing with. But I mean, it was times 10, times 20. Whatever they were doing for Vivek, I mean, it was so ratcheted up. But they never got to boo RFK Jr. because he just read about the Constitution. He didn't really give you. It was pablum. It's funny because I give his speech a 10, but it's also a 0. He didn't address Julian Assange. He didn't. I mean, well, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not what I mean. But because I think some of those topics did come up, but I feel like he left a lot out from what the Libertarians were asking some direct answers on. It's almost like an interview that I pre-wrote. Can you answer these things for me and get back to me? Like, and it's like, put your own speech together, but here's what we'd like to know.
Well, I don't know if they did that for him, but they did vote. I think they voted to see what they would ask Donald Trump that he would be forced to address during his speech. And one of those things was Russ Ulbricht, which is why he specifically mentioned that.
Right.
And so they had a big activist group.
So to anybody that doubts that reaching across the aisle and having a compromise, look, that you just got a big win, a really big win, because of the decision to book him there. So for all the people that didn't want Trump there, I mean, he showed up and said, look, they're attacking me too, and now I feel like I'm a libertarian. That must make me a libertarian too. And it's like, well, no, not just because you're a criminal, or an alleged, but like when you're getting kneecapped and framed so obviously by just a massively corrupt system, there should be a shared overlap of that's not right. Like, you should be able to start from that point and go, I might not like everything about you, but they're going way too far. And if they get away with it with you, we're screwed. We are doomed if we let that happen. So what do we got here? What's Trump saying?
Yeah, I don't have to say too much. I mean, it's just basically Trump telling Libertarian Party to nominate him as their presidential candidate. As you can, settle for trying to make the 3%, or we could join forces and work against the Biden and the radical Democrats. And, Ron Paul kind of said the same thing. Not that he endorsed Trump per se, but, the dangers of these Marxists.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dangers of democracy. Yeah.
I thought it was great on the Libertarian part to put it together that way. Bravo to Angela and Brian McWilliams and everybody who participated. They had a really interesting. Oh, I think I'm going to put up the comedy night too. We're going to post those videos. It was an interesting night of comedy. But all in all, I think it was a really important event, a historic event. I think just this whole week with Trump from the Bronx to the Libertarian Convention to on trial to potentially get arrested, to have his freedom taken from him, all within the same week. And you see him, it felt like a circus. And I don't mean that in like a silly, stupid way. I just mean there was literally a Harlem Globetrotter out there spinning a basketball, on a stilt, and people are selling hats and T-shirts and water bottles. And I mean, it was just like the circus was in town. Everybody came out to participate, and there was so much energy. Most of it was so uplifting and positive. And it just makes you wonder why the Libertarians can't see that, like, the system that's trying to destroy him is the system that could then have the power to destroy all of us. And it's like, can we set some of our most important and most sacred issues to the side for just a moment and maybe address the fact that our house is burning down? Maybe we could do the crossword puzzle after we put out the fire, please. Not that the crossword puzzle isn't important, but sweetheart, we gotta go right now. And so I just, in the grand scheme of things, like I said, that private conversation with the person who works with the party for so long and other people, guys, team up real quick. And honestly, I think that when people go into the poll booth, like, they're going to do just that. There, a lot of them that spoke, I'm on principle. Man, when you get down to it and you know that this will never be seen or matter, but you could get rid of something really bad and get a couple of big wins like Ross Ulbricht, maybe Assange, you're going to get zero from the other. You're going to get zero from the Democrats. Don't you want a few awesome things? Now, that's not a great way to govern an entire nation, but you know what? Keep fighting your libertarian battles. Keep pushing for all your particular fringe issues. But now you have someone in there who's willing to take a meeting with you. You could maybe work on a cabinet and bring this up. Participate there. That's where you're going to actually get some stuff done. And he reached out. So I think it would be very beneficial to team up, to partner up here. So what do you have pulled up there?
Oh, this is another quote from Angela, the Libertarian chair. She was reelected. It's good to see. Let me pull this up and see if I can zoom in on it again. How about like this? There we go. So here's a tweet recently said, everyone is understandably flipping out right now. I will have more to say this weekend. For now, I will say that I delivered an incredible convention with the help of my amazing staff and volunteers. All of my critics were wrong, and that she made the right call to invite Donald Trump. And if libertarians can behave themselves, he will free Ross Ulbricht and put one of us in his cabinet. So the ball is in your court, libertarians. We are getting in that administration. So even though Chase,
wow,
yeah, it's a huge. That's big deal.
Read. Can you read those last two sentences one more time? Repeat that. That is bold. Wow, Angela.
Yeah, because she took a lot of shit, and for having like non-libertarians speak at this convention, but that was huge. That put them on the map. That was a big deal.
Right. That's a win.
So, right. And so
you got a hostage. You retrieved a hostage through a negotiation. Isn't that what you're supposed to be doing? For everyone that hates on Trump, that's all he tried to do was sit down with people and go, look, can we all do a little bit better? What do you want? How can I help you? Okay, what is it that you need? Maybe there's something here I can work with. Maybe not everything, but maybe there's something. Like, take the win. But I would just push back on Angela. She says, we are getting in that administration. I would say you have already joined the administration because of him being invited and because of him acquiescing and committing. And by the way, they're politicians. They could change their mind tomorrow without a doubt. We all know that, okay? But at least to get a former president and the future president to show up and check something off of your to-do list, like, your wish list for Christmas. I hope I get some of these things, Mom. If Santa really likes me, maybe I will get that Nintendo, whatever. But yeah, that's incredible, Blake. This was a historic moment. This was a historic event. It was a historic week, and it's just going to get even more historic as Merchan and whatever he's doing to frame the president as this continues. As of right now, I don't think we have an update, but I think we're waiting on a verdict any moment now. It's going to be happening like really soon. I don't know if it's like a couple minutes, couple hours, couple days, whatever, but it's like right at the wrapping up stage. We're kind of there. So, all right. But once again, just a final word on, or what's that one? What do you get there?
Well, just I'm touching on your point. Yeah, Trump speaking out before trials, closing arguments, dangerous day for America. I thought I saw another quote that was wild. I'm going to see if I can find that.
Okay.
Hold on one.
By the way, make sure you're following Blake. He on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley, and he is The Next Level News. He has all of his links there and his socials. All right, what do we got here?
I'm trying to find it. I don't remember exactly what it was. No, oh dang it! All right, I thought I had it up on there, but I do not.
No
but
worries.
Basically, this could be an interesting follow. Or basically, I think the judge was like trying to tell the jury like they could convict him either way. And I don't remember where I found that headline.
Yeah, he's trying to him and haw and say, well, like even if you didn't prove it, whatever he's doing, the exact verbiage. Yeah, I don't have it committed to memory, and I don't have it pulled up at the moment. But he's really just trying to lower the bar as much as possible to just give them an excuse to, like, this isn't beyond reasonable doubt. Like, this is absurd. This is cartoon stuff. This isn't even remotely. This is laughable. If it wasn't so criminal, if it wasn't so potentially deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about arresting and sitting in prison over some just ridiculous non-crime in this little insulated part with, activists everywhere present. And so he can appeal it, but if he does, this is just going to backfire spectacularly. So this has been their whole issue was even the prosecutor ran on this. He was going to try to get his man Trump. And you got to, yes, the activist judge, they're all working together. They're trying to push this over the finish line. They've got two of the worst witnesses that have destroyed their credibility with his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, and, of course, still current porn star, Stormy Daniels. And it's not going well, but they could still convict anyway because, as they've said, these grand juries, they could convict a ham sandwich if they wanted to. So, but that'll just backfire, make them more popular. And as you covered in the Bronx, people in New York, these people they want Trump more than ever. They know where this administration's going. Yes, it's devolved into a banana republic. This is not America anymore, where we're just persecuting our political opposition. It's desperate maneuvers, and it's not working. It works, in the little Democratic think tanks, but as they're finding out, once the rubber meets the road, in reality, it's not going so well, and people across the country are outraged, as they should.
Yeah, let me ask you this as well. Talking about judges and Trump, I know we had another story in the stack.
Yeah, I've got to run real quick, but yes.
How many we got you for?
I was supposed to be gone at like 3:30 or 4:30 for you, so I got like a minute here just to quickly touch on it. I know there's a request. Jack Smith is requesting a gag order on Trump for the classified documents, but the judge has denied that. As they should. And he's also, because he's embarrassed, obviously, because it's been found out that they had authorized deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid.
That's incredible.
So if Trump happened to be there.
They swatted President Trump. They swatted Trump.
Yeah, imagine, the FBI and the Secret Service getting into a firefight in Mar-a-Lago over these classified documents that they were willing to give. It wasn't like like they were refusing to
and
hand them over.
the best response they say is like, oh, that's just boilerplate language. They're always authorized for force. It's like, hold on, let's turn around. Like, would they really authorize it that way for Obama? Like there wasn't a need for that. They were in active communication. Like that was beyond. So, okay, there's that. We got you running out the door. Did you want to touch on any of these other things that were in the stack? Just a quick just a thought on it as I pop it up, and we'll wrap today's show. We're going to keep it tight. Tomorrow we're going to have time to bring you maybe a more coherent show.
Oh, okay. We're going to do a special Wednesday show.
I will regardless. And if you'd like to join, like, please join.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can cover maybe some highlights or something. Yeah, it was interesting to point out because a lot of the hardcore libertarians are like, oh my God, who did we elect? Yeah, we wanted to get the younger, fiery guy. We're going to reject Trump. But then they ended up getting an Obama-supporting pro-open border former Democrat who's been at these drag shows and stuff like that. I mean, some of it I don't have a huge issue with. It's just it's weird, and it's strange that this is the guy. They're gonna boo Trump and Vivek, and they're gonna reject RFK, and then they had some other fine candidates there. Dr. Michael, that was one. Dave Smith did an outstanding job there as well, in every capacity that.
Kudos to Dave Smith. He had some of the most coherent. By the way, I would like to nominate Dave Smith for president of the Libertarian Party. I don't know all of his views, but he at least carries himself the correct way. He articulates things very well. Thank you for mentioning that, Blake. I did not want to miss out on that. Yeah, kudos to Dave Smith. He did a great job. All right, anything else on your way out? Libertarians are going to be taken seriously again now? No, not so much.
No, absolutely not. They made it was a clown show. They got exposed, and it's going to backfire. And even the top people, even like Dave Smith, just saying, ironically, Chase winning is the best outcome for Trump this weekend, because now are those libertarians? They're going to go, oh my God, did we really? Is it Chase, or do we try to side with Trump, and at least we can free Ross Ulbricht and get somebody on the cabinet? Because I'll tell you what. Chase, this guy has absolutely zero freaking chance. So,
all right. Well, anything about the illegal alien invaders voting in 2024 and Robert DeNiro on the way out the door? Blake graciously giving us.
Maybe I'll let you handle that one if you want, because I don't have time to do it. But I know Jamie Raskin's all about it, and the Democrats, they can say all they want that's not. They can't vote in these elections. Well, they will try to make them. If they think that they can win by bringing in the illegal aliens, they absolutely will. And if not, they should just sign a bill that says, "Hey, let's just make this whole election transparent."
Right.
But, they don't want to do that. They're always doing dirty stuff. So, and then of course, Robert De Niro, Brian, I will just send you this link if you want to cover it. You kind of got to feel bad for him. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I saw a tweet from Don Jr. that I liked. That he was saying that they've got no real celebrity endorsements anymore. Every A-list celebrity in his corner line. In 2020, Joe Biden had all the A-list celebrities lining up. They would show to his rallies and fundraisers. But now most of them have just kind of disappeared. And all he's got left is deranged Robert De Niro. So anyway, it's they're getting pretty desperate. So it wasn't a good weekend for them. And they're going to struggle with Biden. So they're going to need those illegal invader votes if they're going to have any chance. They know it, so prepare. It's going to be an explosive year. But that's all I've got, Brian. So thank you very much. I got to run, right. And we'll
Appreciate
look forward to doing it the next time. All right, take care, everybody.
Thank you, Blake. Yeah,
BlakeNews.com, the archive. That's all I got. TV's Blake Walley, Twitter. All right, goodbye.
There you go. Thank you, Blake. Yeah, I mean, we are literally showing up on fumes. After a lot of traveling and a lot of, when the power's out, there's only so much that you can do. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We are going to get settled in and give you another show tomorrow, telling you what's going on in the news, see what the latest Trump trial developments are. But it's a fearless man. We're going to talk more later. Just such an interesting energy that he brings. Kudos to the Libertarian. I reconnected with old friends over the past weekend. I had opportunities to forge continuing experiences and continuing bonds with other people reminded people that I knew from a lifetime 10 years ago, like, oh yeah, I remember we did that thing. Good seeing you again. Maybe you could jump on our show. Maybe I could do something. Yeah, send me a message. And it's like, okay, we're reconnecting with people and meeting good people for the first time. Just remember, my final piece of advice, my suggestion is try to get out into the universe. Go meet people and go to events where things are happening and just allow that to happen. It's a video game. If you explore the world, you discover the game. A lot of us spend a lot of time in front of keyboards and at home and inside, not even getting sunlight. Mix it up, guys, girls, everybody, and just level up. I know I said final word, but one more final word about leveling up. I suggest that we get rid of one bad habit. I suggest that we get rid of one bad ingredient. So I don't know if that's filtering your water extra so that you're removing some extra stuff from. And if you just want water and I don't want all these chemicals, get a nice filter. If you want to really protect the house, get some sort of solar or emergency generator. Man, are they important. I think I'm ready. And just kind of level up in your life. Try to you know the spots that you could improve. But get out there, folks. Thank you to everyone. I'm just so full of appreciation, gratitude, joy, exhaustion, to so many places. It really was a week where the New American Media leveled up a little bit. I was able to do some things that I hadn't done before, like doing several segments for America's Real America's Voice. Great people, great experience. I could ruminate on that for a while, but instead we'll talk with you tomorrow. Thank you so much. If you want to support independent media, I assure you that the events of the past week were not free. And much like PBS, we rely on viewers like you. So if any of you would like to assist, in the comments, you can find it at patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. There's different levels you could sign up and support us each month. Just click on it. It's like, yeah, on a recurring basis, I'll chip in something each month. It would be much appreciated, because the more assistance we can get, the more we can do this stuff. We have to really hold back, and then pick and choose where we're going to put that energy. With more funding, we can do more. We can go to, there's a lot of events, and it almost, in a way, going to Nashville and then hearing President Trump was going to be speaking at the Libertarian Convention and meeting some of them, and they were going and overlap. It's like, no. This is where the train is going. This is where you should be. This is where you're going to have interviews with people and try to understand what's really happening in the world. But yeah, that's where you would find us. But the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show, find us on all of the places. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon.